Travel used to be a luxury both in terms of time and money, but now with the emergence of apps and websites dedicated to booking flights, accommodations, and tours, travel has become a reality for anyone connected to the internet. Yes, we have been bitten by the travel bug, and technology has definitely made it easier to satisfy that urge. And in today's roundtable discussion, we will be talking about how technology has enabled movement and encouraged people to broaden their horizons and see the world. Hi guys.
Hello.
Hi. Okay, first of all, let's just get this on the table immediately. Why do you travel? Anyone?
To make the most of life. I mean, seriously.
Just to get, I think, rested, you know, from the day-to-day grind, spend time with your family and friends.
I think to discover the world that you have not seen, right?
Yeah.
Always good for new experiences, sorry.
Okay. Well, apart from being able to relax, it's really about embracing new discoveries and insights about different foreign cultures. I, for one, I like to travel for Klook. So we do a lot of destination trips to, say, Hong Kong, Singapore, and just recently we went to Seoul as well with our travel buddies, so yeah.
Certainly, I think the personal experiences is primary in terms of, getting new experience in traveling outside where you normally see. But the reality of it, there's a lot of business travel that also is happening. So for me, at least, it's, business travel and personal travel. Hopefully, it shifts more to the personal travel, more the enjoyment and experience.
I was gonna say, I think one of our biggest problems when it comes to planning our travels is actually having the time to do it. So how often do you guys get to travel?
Well, when my boyfriend was still here, we used to travel like every 2 weeks. Wow. Like there
must be nice.
There were months when I would actually travel every weekend. Like maybe 80% of it would be local and then 20% international. And in terms of like planning, I actually really enjoy planning. I think it's it's the organized person in me. Like I just want to make my own itinerary, as a spreadsheet. It has the cost per person, it has duration, and also the travel time between attractions. I thought of everything. So that, later on, it's like when you're traveling with friends especially, it becomes a lot easier for you guys to split the cost.
Right.
I think for me, 3 to 5 times a year would be like a safe number, and maybe like Reina, most of it would be domestic, maybe 2 for international. I don't have a template. I'm like the friend of Reina who's actually gonna rely on her when we plan to travel. So I'm just gonna go there, with my bags and all of that, and then she just does everything.
I like going on long weekend holidays, so especially maybe once a month at least to go to different Asian destinations. But in recent years, I find myself traveling a lot to the US. I've been, a fan of road trips. Just recently, I went to Hawaii for another road trip just a few months back. So yeah.
I think for me it's more like, I think at least once in a month. I think mostly to local destinations, but maybe 3 to 4 times a year to international destinations.
Same for me, once a month probably on a busy schedule, probably once every 2 months. I think the unfortunate part of it, probably 70% is business-related travel, 30% personal. Hopefully, as time goes by, I shift to 70% personal and leisure, then just 30% business.
Okay. And you already mentioned that when your boyfriend was here, you guys would travel a lot. So who would you guys usually travel with? And I do have to ask, what makes a great travel buddy?
I think the perfect travel buddies would have to be people who know how to take your photo. That's one.
So
people who will share your food. People who will share your food with you. That's the thing about traveling. It's you don't just order your own dish and then just have that to yourself. You want to try a lot of different things. So you have to have people with you who have sort of a similar taste, so that you can try a bit of everything, like pika pika, right? And I think also. And also I learned, the reason why I travel with my boyfriend and it's just us instead of a big group is because it's faster when you make decisions. Hey, where do you want to go? Where do you want to have dinner? Fast, right? Versus when you're traveling with a group of people, it's oh, we want this, and then, okay, fine, let's just go our separate ways and then meet up afterwards, which is sad. So, there.
The best travel buddy for me is someone who's really adventurous and someone ideally who knows the locale. So you don't have to really try to figure out things on what to do. You just go there and experience it. And being the technology guy on the room, the best travel buddy is your smart device. It's your smart device.
I think for me is more on a small group, like 3 or 4 people. I think Reina mentioned earlier, you don't want to have too many people because decision making gets hard. But I think one thing for me is to make sure that you get along, right? Like in terms of schedule, like you don't want someone that takes a long time to get ready, and then you don't want to follow your schedule. So I think it's harder if you have like those types of people as your travel buddy.
I travel a lot with my boyfriend as well, so he's a pretty good travel buddy because he doesn't mind taking my photos. And apart
He's
from
an
that,
IG boyfriend.
Yeah, and since we go a lot for road trips, I'm a very bad driver, sad to say. So he drives the long hours just for us to go from point to point. So yeah, so I think that really makes a very good travel buddy.
I travel mostly with my friends and then maybe once or twice a year with my family. So the perfect travel buddy is the likes of Reina, who just plans everything ahead, and I just go with her. Just very recently, though, I went to Osaka with my office friends, but we've been friends for a quite long time. And then they're at the point of their life where they have kids, etc. It's a challenging experience when you have kids, and we were like 8, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, wow.
So I had to orchestrate everything. It was so tiring, and I had to select places which are also child friendly. But it was also fun because you get to meet you get to experience other places rather than, because when you're a millennial, I think you travel like you want to make the most out of your day, but when you're traveling with a family, it's very different. Yeah.
Especially with the kids, because they're the priority. Like, okay, what do the kids want to do? And there are limited activities for kids. Yeah, or do they need to take a nap? Are they hungry? But I appreciate you bringing up the smartphone, because that's honestly what my husband does. Like, he won't take my photos. I mean, he will, but he will stop after 3. But if we need to get somewhere, he'll bust out his phone and he'll be like, okay, this is what the like Google Maps says. Or if I think there's an app where you can input whether you're taking the train or if you're walking or if you're taking a car. So that's what he does. So he's like, okay, so if we're taking the train, this is where we get off, blah, blah. I'm like, yes, thank you so much. Like, I appreciate this so much. But when I'm with my family, I don't have to do it because my older sister does it. So my sister Ashel is the one who's like, okay, this is what time our flights are, this is what time we're leaving the house, this is our transportation, blah, blah. Like, she plans everything down to the last detail. I think you guys would really get along. Okay, so now that we enjoy the benefits of planning everything from our phones or our laptops, I mean, from today, like back to when we all first started traveling, how have your travel habits changed? Like, what have you guys done differently in recent years compared to when we were younger and we were like, oh, there's no internet. Like, how do we do this?
I think Filipino millennial travelers nowadays are really deeply involved with the experience economy. Our data in Klook tells us that a lot of these guys actually are more than willing to spend for unique experiences, places that they can share to their friends and family. So apart from the usual theme park attractions and city tours that they normally book with Klook, a lot of times we see a growing trend for more curated experiences. To give you an example, a hangover tour in Bangkok, or like a kimono rental in Osaka is doing very, very well for us in Philippine market. So these kinds of experiences really are increasingly popular, and I guess in a way it's also linked to the rise in media consumption. The way that people get these kinds of information about where to travel next. If they see it on Instagram, like, hey, my friend just traveled to Japan, for example, and did a snowboarding trip, then you're more encouraged or you're more empowered to try out these different experiences.
That is true.
Yeah, I like the point about bringing the consumer's information about travel options and how to enjoy, in-destination experiences. Because without technology in the past, I remember a time wherein travel was a prestige or a luxury. And I don't know if it's just advertising. You go to a plane, you're very well dressed.
Yeah.
It's like
In
an
a
event.
suit. Yeah.
An event when you travel. But now it's more reachable, and I think it has to do with the information that, you know, what can you do when you travel?
Exactly.
What are the cost options? It's not too expensive, very cost effective, which attracts more people. You really know to travel and use that, their weekends or to plan for leisure with their families.
I think let me just build on what they said. From Philippine Airlines perspective, it used to be really that the main distribution channel is our travel agencies. You line up, on travel agent. You call a travel agent, or you line up in the ticket offices. But of course, nowadays, online websites, it's really and mobile apps actually are really one of the growing, if not the fastest growing, distribution channel for us, especially for domestic flights. Before, when it's seat sale, you actually, you ask your parents, mom, dad, go to wherever fare or go to this ticket office. But when it's seat sale, you just, okay, abang-abang, di ba? Abangers, 12 midnight with your friends on Facebook or whatever.
People really wait.
Yeah, they really wait. And we're all also waiting from Philippine Airlines because we have to secure our servers so that we can ensure that
it's gonna crash.
Yeah, it's not gonna crash. So we've learned from all of our experiences. And also, just to share also for Klook, we were just discussing, my friends and I were saying, oh, let's go to Korea. And then the first thing that comes to mind is, oh, you go to Klook, there are lots of packages already there. So, which is also what we bought for a Japan trip. So it's really very different now in terms of traveling, especially amongst Filipinos.
Yeah, right. Like I remember, I've been traveling since I was probably like 3 years old. I just can't remember. But the first memory I have of being on a tour was when I was like 7 or 8 years old, and through those years, my family would always go on a travel, use a tour agency or travel agency to book their tours. Like one whole week, they plan out everything. We switch hotels every day, right? Like that's how we travel.
That is exhausting.
Like
that
baggage,
sounds exhausting.
luggage out at 8, and then check. You have like a new place every time. But when I started traveling with my friends or by myself, we kind of looked for a different kind of experience. Like, sure, we still follow like a strict schedule, but then the kind of experiences that we look for are like a bit off the beaten path. Like we don't go for just like the usual tourist places, right? We look for like for example, like the Hangover tour, right? That would be, I would totally go on that.
It was fun. I tried it myself.
Do you have like a bar crawl before that too?
We have that. In fact, in Singapore, we have a Crazy Rich Asians tour.
Hey,
so that's based on the
so
movie.
cool.
So we featured all the filming locations that they had in the movie. So
yeah. And then I think just to add to what Hazel said earlier, like apart from, there's also like certain sites or apps that actually scrape from the web, like not just for a particular airline, but like all airlines, just like you can compare prices. I think in today's technology, that's one of the benefits, the convenience, right? You have a lot of options. Like it's the same for online retail. You have all these different vendors offering probably like the same services or products, but the fact that they're all right there in one platform, you can see the prices and make better decisions.
I think that's what Traveloka does. So I think I have taken Traveloka for granted, actually. So it feels like I'm planning my trips more and more last minute because it's so easy to actually compare prices and to actually buy a ticket or like find your hotels. I mean, I think the options are limitless now, right? As compared to like calling your tour agents, like having to figure out which area do you want to stay in. Oh, I don't want to stay in the area. Like now we all have it online, right?
I appreciate, when I go on these apps and I'm looking for a hotel, and I'm like, okay, I need a hotel near the airport. And you just search hotels near blah, blah, blah airport. And all these hotels come up. I'm like, all right, okay, this is easy. But yeah, with all our talk about the apps and, making our own travel plans attainable, let me address this to the people from Klook and Traveloka because you guys deal with this on a regular basis, of course. How has technology changed the way people plan and book and make travel arrangements?
Okay, that's actually a very good question. So at Klook, we use technology in a very few ways, especially to make traveling more accessible and seamless for Filipino millennials. So for one, it's mobile first. So given that we are a travel activities and services platform, we are in destination in nature, which means that it's more critical for us to provide instant confirmation, same-day booking in this space. So we've been really working hard to build our platform to be able to provide these things to our consumers. And yeah, and apart from that, you know, especially in the Philippine market, we've started to localize payment strategies, for example. So we've partnered with the likes of Dragon Pay because we understand that, you know, the credit card penetration is still a big concern for us. It's still majorly a cash-based society. So more often than not, we really need to provide alternative payment solutions to these guys just to make traveling a little bit more attainable to those, even for those without credit cards. Yeah.
So adding on that, right, I think we also want to be make travel actually inclusive for like everyone. So like you said, there are many payment options. At the same time, I think even if you're in other countries and you're purchasing on Traveloka, we do have like about 40 payment options around Southeast Asia.
40?
Like 7-Eleven, all the mini marts, like just name it, like across all the other countries. Like we have that available just to make sure that, you know, people can actually pay and purchase. So I feel like how it has changed is more on making it available for everyone, like making travel actually inclusive.
In fact, about 70% of, I'm sure it's true for Traveloka as well, about 70% of our transactions are being done mobile. And the majority of which are through our award-winning app as well. So, you know, a lot of times people really just book on the go now, you know. They don't, gone are the days where they plan year before or 6 months before just to go to Hong Kong, for example. Because I, you know, before when I would plan for my family, it would take months of planning to be able to just go to Singapore or Japan. But a lot of these apps have made it very, very easy. You know, we have content in our platform that's integrated already that provides you with different like lists of things to do, where people are going. So it makes it a lot more easier.
Yeah. And Isabella brought up a point about being inclusive. And I'd like to highlight, you know, the work that Accenture did with Philippine Airlines when we launched their new website back on your 75th year anniversary. The inclusivity part, through technology, we were able to implement web content accessibility guidelines, which will allow vision-impaired people to interact with the website more. So
that's an also award-winning feature of the website. I think it's for the United States, yeah, because it's a mandatory. So it's only one of the very few websites that actually has that feature, which also actually merited the 4-star rating also for Philippine Airlines back then.
Yeah, so it's good to know that technology is an enabler for, you know, people who are vision impaired to still be able to access and enjoy, you know, being able to look for flights and book flights online.
And I think not just inclusivity, I think it's also personalization. So say, for example, you're a Japanese, you see one of our Philippine Airlines ads, whether online, or on Facebook, or on display, or in search. When you actually click on any of those ads, you get directed to a website that is already geo-site or geo-targeted towards your IP address. So it's also in Japanese. It's customized towards your language, or whichever. So it makes the experience a little bit more fruitful and a little bit more relevant for that specific audience. So that's also, you know, what technology does for a lot of our travelers right now.
All right, let's talk to the member of this panel who traveled every weekend pretty much. Listening to all the points that they brought up, as you know, as someone who travels so much, I mean, how has, you know, the emergence of these apps and websites helped you in your experience booking your travels?
Personally, for me, I think one of the benefits of these apps is like looking for ideas that that you normally wouldn't have thought of. It's just like, honestly, this is like my therapy. Like late at night, I'm in the bathroom or like after taking a shower, just need to fall asleep. But I want to do like last minute browsing. I go through like, these apps, just looking for ideas, like something new, something different, right? Because I think in this life, we're always like you guys said earlier, it's all about like gaining experiences, learning more about the world. We don't want to stick to the things that everybody already knows about. And as a blogger, I also look for new content And part of that would be like something that people haven't normally looked at or been to, places that they've never been to, like beaches that are undiscovered, like virgin white sand beaches, right? Stuff like that. So that's one of the things that technology has brought.
Let's talk to Hazel about this. From an airline perspective, I mean, you already brought up, the seat sales and how people used to line up at the Philippine airline offices, but now it's just, a few clicks away. How has technology helped airlines stay connected and competitive?
Well, apart from what you've already mentioned, I think the very essence or at the very core of a Philippine airline service is really fulfilling the desired customer experience, if I may quote that. That's one of our ethos. So basically from the time that they actually dream or they plan their trips up until the time that they book and in flight. So we stay competitive because technology enables us. For example, I don't know if you guys have seen this, the Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It used to be, right? Basic needs is at the very bottom. Now it's Wi-Fi. So, right? So we actually, so we also offer Wi-Fi even 30,000 feet in the sky, so people can stay connected. So this is just one of the examples, or even our in-flight streaming app. It's a MyPalPair app. You just download it, and if your plane doesn't have a TV screen, you can actually watch your movies. It's updated or TV shows on that app. So we're also looking at what are the trends of the other airlines all over the globe, just to be able to also compete, because we are the Philippines 4-star airline. So we really have to live up to that expectations of our passengers. Competition is really, really very tough, especially because of the presence of budget airlines. You can only imagine, so they have really commoditized travel. But what we also need to be able to account for is that price doesn't necessarily mean that it's cheap, it's really the value for money. So the seat sales, for example, a lot of people think that PAL is really this expensive brand, etc. But there are actually ways or travel hacks, if I may. So you fly from Clark, it's less than 1,000 pesos. So, and you can go to El Nido, right? You don't have to pay 10,000 pesos just to go to El Nido. So those are the things really that we're doing from a technology point of view.
What is your perspective on travel and technology and the relationship between the two?
Well, generally, technology is an enabler on how we work and how we live. Technology is like embedded in the fabric of our work lives and our personal lives. Specific to the travel industry, what we're seeing is two aspects on how technology can help this industry. Number one is digital enterprise. So Hazel earlier talked about, seat sale campaign. With the help of technology, we are able to, I need a seat sale this weekend. Yes, we can do it. And we can, enable that through the website for, the airline passengers to be able to access. So there's an aspect of a digital enterprise component using technology to help operate the business better. And the more exciting aspect is the digital customer aspect, which will go into the end-to-end experience from the time you dream and plan of your travel, from the time you want to get actual information on the travel options, the time you actually book that, and the time you actually pay. And I think a key differentiator, which is an opportunity to further expand, is to even extend that experience to in-destination events. Help you planning, help you execute that. Again, information, booking, payment, and up to the time, you go back home and dream your next travel event or travel activity.
Now I want to ask everyone further thoughts on how technology is enabling people to accomplish, their goals, their dreams, to tick items off of their bucket list. Who wants to start?
My goal in life, I guess, is to sort of match the number of countries I've been to my age, right? Wow. So thanks to my family, I guess, because we travel every year. Like, we have to travel every year. So there's like a new country that we go to every year. And sometimes it's like 3 countries in one trip, especially in Europe, right? So I've basically already covered like Eastern, Central Europe, nice, Africa, and all that stuff. And definitely Asia, like Asia's covered, right? But in terms of like, personally, if we're talking about like enabling people to accomplish their, their bucket list or their dreams, one of the ways is like accessibility, like thanks to these apps, right? I mean, nowadays everybody has a phone somehow, right? And the other thing, I guess, is affordability. I think giving them that value for money. And I think because of the whole personalized experience, you know, a lot of these providers could, you know, give us like special prices or discounts for, you know, a specific interest for these people, you know, different groups of people, and thus allowing them to sort of, you know, make it a bit more accessible in that way.
Yeah, and to add to the point Reina brought up, that personalization with technology, technology has an ability to know the data, your patterns, your behaviors, and the patterns and behaviors of the same demographic. Let's say your millennial population, what do the other millennials do during summer? And that dream portion on bucket list, with the context of technology, they can actually make recommendations. Oh, you want to go to the beach every summer. What about this new destination, this new experience? So it's not just checking off your bucket list. My view is technology will allow you to create even new dreams or new entries in your bucket list that will make, you know, travel even a greater adventure. It continues to evolve, and I want to do this and I want to do something next.
I think touching on that, right, I think what technology has done is making inspiration a lot easier to access. So like before people actually post about this place, like I didn't know I wanted to go to that place. But I think right now it has become so accessible in terms of inspiration that, you know, people just easily get inspired to get to a place. And with all the apps like Traveloka making it easy for people to buy flights, hotels, I think a lot of the end-to-end experience is a lot better as well. So I think taking off the bucket list is not as difficult as it used to, I feel.
And generally, I think, you know, for us, we're very positive and optimistic about the future of travel in the Philippines. We've been here in the Philippines for a little more than a year, so it's still very, very new, and there's still a lot to be done, to be very honest. And I think that for us, you know, at the end of the day, we're really here to make everyone's lives easier, seamless when it comes to travel. So we continuously upgrade our product to serve, you know, the consumers better. And you brought up a very good point actually on using AI, for example, to allow, you know, smart recommendations, because these kinds of technologies are very innovative and very important and critical as we develop the products more. So,
I guess from an airline perspective, one of the things really that we can do, so we listen to what the travelers of the world are actually talking about. For example, on social media, right? When Taiwan actually relaxed its visa, or Japan, for instance, we increased our flights to Taiwan. We also opened a new flight to Sapporo 3 times weekly starting December 7. Very perfect for the winter schedule. So, and also even for domestic. So there are actually a lot of clamor for Port Bitten in San Vicente, which is actually just 2 hours away from El Nido, for instance. So we open all of those flights just by listening to what people are talking about on social, for instance, or using technology for that matter. And really also we partner with a lot of suppliers. I can't name all of them, but generally some of the people on this table. So basically we use promo codes, for instance. So you can get discounts whether you use Traveloka or Klook or wherever, for you to actually get more discounts for your flights or for your other experiences. So that's really something that we look into. And I think to your point earlier with regard to enhancing the experience of the customer, so we're really constantly developing our products as well. Goes without saying that the 4-star Skytrax rating is not just lip service. It's really something that we have to strive for and to work hard for on a day-to-day basis.
From a technology perspective, the social media integration is a simple switch, but it's quite powerful. It provides a close feedback loop mechanism for, you know, travel providers and for the end consumers to continue to evolve and improve the travel services, which I think is a win-win. Win for the businesses, it's win for the travelers who actually get benefit of the, you know, improved service.
Right. Considering how, you know, the booking apps and websites have helped grow the travel industry by leaps and bounds. I mean, for you guys, especially like Klook, Traveloka, airlines in particular, even Accenture, what else can we look forward to in the future of tech in travel? I'm sure Reina would love to know the answer to this too, because she's like, what am I going to do next year?
I think from a technology perspective, Michelle used the word seamless travel experience. And I think that seamless experience is a trend that we have a lot of opportunity to make the travelers have that seamless experience. It's, as I mentioned earlier, it's from the time you plan, from the time you go from your house to the airport, airport waiting lounge, that actual air travel, then land transportation into your destination. But in order to make that seamless travel experience happen, we're seeing two areas, which is the infrastructure and ecosystem. Infrastructure is, airline companies, rail companies, land transportation companies, being able to use technology to integrate the different travel service providers and allow a single point of contact for the end traveler to book everything and just, not worry about the logistics and all, but really focus on the travel experience.
Just to add to that, I think, for example, when you have connecting flights, you don't want to stress over the fact that which gate am I going to transfer. So even when you're just in flight, you can actually look for like the transfer gates. Our new aircraft, the new aircraft that we have just bought, are actually also capable of that. So you can actually look and then just go there, and then it's a seamless transfer for the different passengers. So it's one of those things. And I think also sometimes people think that traveling is just about the destination. It's not. It's the entire experience, right? Even in flight. So say for example, there are also other products that say we offer what we call MyPal upgrade. So if you're an economy flyer, you can actually bid for an upgrade to business class or premium economy when you win. So you get to fly business or premium economy at a much cheaper rate. So these are all just the technologies that are behind the airline world right now that makes traveling not just about what you can do when you get to that place, but even the entire journey.
What's the minimum buy-in for the bid?
Depends on the destination, but for Asian destinations, $100 bid for business class.
Pay $100 to go on a business class.
Yeah.
You'll make that bid.
Correct.
If you don't win, it's okay. If you get it,
Diba?
it's a bonus.
Yeah.
2 points I want to mention. So one is the travel activities space is actually very fragmented in Asia. A lot of times, the value we bring in, not only for consumers, but also for businesses, are for the mom and pop shops, those that cannot bring their experiences and activities online. So that's where we come in. So apart from the app that we have for consumers, we also have a merchant app that facilitates voucher redemption, e-voucher redemption, QR code ticketing and whatnot. So in fact, just to give an example, we've partnered with the likes of MTR, Hong Kong Corporation, and if you happen to go to Hong Kong and book train tickets, you can actually get it from Klook. And instead of collecting a physical train ticket, for example, you can go direct
QR code.
Access using your QR code already. So that's one of the things that we're continuously building to make things more seamless. And the other point I wanted to mention was again on AI. So at the end of the day, we want to provide a better user experience for everyone. And the only way to do that is to utilize AI technology to be able to provide smart recommendations in the future. So hopefully we can bring that forward in the Philippines.
I think talking about smart recommendations, I think we are currently using a lot of machine learning already, and I see that in the future we will continue to do that. In terms of like personalization, I think machine learning can help us a lot in terms of targeting the right customers, also giving them content that is actually relevant to them. Because I think social media is everywhere, but is it relevant to the people that are actually looking at it, right? And then on top of that, also I think that someone mentioned about the one-stop solution, like you can access everything, in terms of travel, from getting out of your house until when you arrive at your destination and getting to your hotel. I think Traveloka strives to do that in the future as well.
And it's so exciting to hear, the industry experts in travel talk about technology with excitement. You talk about machine learning, you talk about artificial intelligence, and clearly that's the trend. One thing which I'd like to share is, it's cross-industry innovation. We talk about the travel industry. One of the ideas, on our mind is, what if the whole travel experience will become like a theme park experience? And we certainly, do some work. We're in hotel accommodations, you're in the theme park. Transportation, there's a theme park monorail that takes you. When you go to the actual theme park, you get a wearable that will allow you access to the rides. It will allow you access to Fast Pass for skipping the queue lines. It will allow you to pay for food you consume while in the theme park. Imagine if that theme park, the world, becomes one big theme park and your experience is totally integrated.
So excited. So I just have to pay you like one time, and then like, okay, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do that.
That's a possibility.
But you're talking about like integrating everybody, like just having like one big platform, right?
From a technology perspective, it's possible. That's why I mentioned both infrastructure and ecosystem is possible, because the ecosystem, the different businesses should be able to collaborate and make it happen. But the technology, it's available.
I appreciate this fearless forecast. I got excited. She got excited.
Also scared.
Okay, but we need to wrap this up in a little bit. So, if anyone has any parting messages from your respective perspectives, we would love to hear it.
Technology is a great enabler, and I think what's important is to be able to get feedback from the industry, the businesses, the travel providers, airlines, and get feedback from the users. I think what we know now in terms of travel behaviors will not necessarily be the travel behaviors 6 months from now, 12 years from now, 10 years from now. And using technology as, again, an enabler to be able to consolidate all that information, not just the services that travel providers actually bring, but to be able to collect the information from the end travelers will allow us to continue to evolve the behaviors, the patterns, and how we tweak the services we provide to make the travel experience more delightful to the people that matter, which is all of us.
So from an airline perspective, whatever you do online, it's actually possible to get those information based on your IP address or what have you, which airlines use or even Traveloka and Klook would use for you to be able to have a more personalized experience. So these are the things that maybe you take for granted right now, but these are also the things that when it's there, when it's just served to you on a platter, if I may, you actually thank the internet gods for it. So it's really, really gonna be like a very fast evolution, like what Tep has said. It's evolving. So whatever we have right now, it's probably gonna continue to improve moving forward, whether it be from a millennial perspective or a family perspective. It's going to be fun if we can integrate everything all together. But we'll see. we'll rely on Accenture to do that for us. But yeah, it's going to be very fun for traveling moving
let
forward.
Accenture worry about the technology implementation, so it's the experience that you can actually focus on.
I'm a believer that being well-traveled is going to be the next Filipino millennial trait. So we're really seeing the patterns and trends now that more and more Filipinos want to go to different destinations. And it's no surprise that they go to, say, for example, Hong Kong or Singapore. But we're seeing a rise even in visa countries like Korea, Japan, or even Europe and US. And that's really part of our plan as a global company. We're really trying to make it very possible for them to even book US products and Europe products with us. So yeah, hopefully that excites everyone.
I think it is very exciting, actually, travel in general, because I think in the future, a lot of people are going to use technology to actually come up with new features, like price alerts, flight status, like, like basically features that allow people to have a seamless experience. I think we have started to see that with some of the apps already. I think we are allowing people right now for easy reschedule, like rescheduling through the app instead of having to call and wait for a long time. And I think in the future, a lot of these features are going to come up, and it's going to continue to improve the experience as a whole.
Yeah. And I think, Isabella, you brought up earlier, at least the trend we're seeing, our clients in the travel industry say just-in-time booking. That's very important, and we will need to continue to address that. Ultimately, that just-in-time booking, that smart planning will lead to new adventures, new destinations, and new experiences.
Yes, I was actually gonna bring that up. You know, especially in this day and age where we want everything now, right? The whole just-in-time / near real-time type of booking is going to be very relevant in the future. Like, imagine being able to, like, you know, make a decision at a snap of finger and then suddenly it's available. Like, instant confirmation on activities or instant travel. Everything instant. Like, that could be what we're looking at. I don't know if it's possible, but...
Now, if we only had the time to do everything instantly. But you know what? Thank you so much for joining me here today in this roundtable discussion. I loved hearing, you know, several points of view. And the thing is, I'm sure we all have our own, you know, dream destinations. We all have our own little bucket list items that we want to tick off. And you know what? Thank you guys for making all of these things possible.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
What if you could capture the new? New ideas and technologies and business models? Would that be enough? What if you could apply the ideas and innovations now? Would that take you further? This is the opportunity to harness the possibilities that spring from disruption and transform your business now. New, applied now. 3 simple words behind one singular idea. A promise to work together to take the new and apply it for impact now, in every industry, every country, every day. Accenture. New, applied now.